Critical infrastructure in Chernihiv and the region was targeted by enemy drones overnight. This was reported on Telegram by the State Emergency Service. Rescuers promptly extinguished the fires that broke out as a result of the attacks. There were strikes on residential buildings and a civilian facility in the Koryukivka district. There are no dead or injured. Meanwhile, in the Kyiv region, 3 people were injured, according to the head of the regional military administration, Mykola Kalashnik. 2 women in the Vishora district and a man in Fastiv. At the same time, the press service of the State Emergency Service published photos of the aftermath of the strikes. In Fastiv, fires broke out and there was destruction at the railway station and depot. In the village of Novi Petrivtsi, debris from a UAV caused a warehouse covering 5,500 square meters to catch fire. 3 cargo trucks also caught fire. A residential building was destroyed and 6 more were damaged. And in the Zhilovichi Buka district, a fire broke out in a private home. Repeated explosions in Dnipro. Since the night, the enemy has been attacking the city and the region in Dnipro. This caused several fires to break out. Among the damaged properties is a private house, according to the head of the regional military administration, Vladislav Ivanenko. Since the evening, air defenders have shot down 40 enemy drones over Dnipropetrovsk region. As a result of the strikes, there is destruction, particularly in the Zelenodolsk community of Kryvyi region. Their infrastructure was affected. And in Nikopol district, where an 11-year-old boy was injured. Today, Ukraine is celebrating Armed Forces Day, and on this occasion, the president congratulated the defenders. In his address, he also honored the heroism of the soldiers who gave their lives for Ukraine.
Different destinies, the same values. Different names, the same respect for all. They grew up in different cities, different families, different homes, but everywhere they were raised as true heroes. And how much symbolism of pride and pain is there in this? At the same time, they went to defend their homeland. And today, their portraits hang on the walls of these homes and in the schools where they had different grades, but all excelled in learning what honor, courage, humanity, and love mean. Love for their Ukraine.
Russia does not seek to stop the fighting in Ukraine. This was stated by the Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of Ukraine, Alexander Syrskyi, in an interview with the British TV channel Sky News. He says the ruling regime of the Russian Federation is trying to seize as much of our territory as possible, using negotiations as a cover. And despite Putin's statements to US President Donald Trump that Moscow is ready for negotiations, there are no signs of a decrease in hostilities from the Russian side.
You can see that we, for our part, want peace, a just peace. The enemy continues its offensive using these peace talks as a cover. There are no pauses, no delays in their operations. They continue to advance their troops to seize as much of our territory as possible under the cover of negotiations.
And also, Alexander Syrskyi said that Ukraine's strategy is to maximally exhaust the Russian army, prevent its advance, and strike Russian territory in order to undermine its defensive potential. Resistance against the occupiers and collaborators. The president of Ukraine, Volodymyr Zelensky, heard a report from the head of the security service of Ukraine, Vasyl Maliuk, on the results of efforts to counter Russian occupiers and collaborators. Zelensky reported this on Telegram. According to him, the security service of Ukraine remains highly effective in long-range operations and in destroying Russian logistics. He also added that work continues on developing formats for the advancement of Ukraine's state institutions. Drones attacked the Alchevsk Metallurgical Plant in temporarily occupied Alchevsk Luhansk region. The drones struck the oxygen workshop. This was reported by Russian Telegram channels. Local public pages are sharing videos of drone strikes one after another on the occupied city. The author of one of these videos says that most likely one of the drones hit the oxygen facility. Therefore, it is most likely referring to the oxygen workshop of the Alchevsk Metallurgical Plant. And the Ryazan oil refinery was once again attacked by drones last night. This was reported by Russian Telegram channels. Today's strike was already the 9th since the beginning of the year. The video shows the moment of the explosion. The Ryazan oil refinery is one of the largest oil processing enterprises in Russia. It produces 4 types of gasoline, diesel fuel, jet fuel, and liquefied gases. The plant supplies fuel to the Russian Army's aerospace forces. In particular, it produced over 800,000 tons of aviation fuel per year. Combat brigades of the armed forces of Ukraine were guaranteed monthly reinforcement with new soldiers. A new approach to the distribution of mobilized personnel was approved at the meeting of the Supreme Commander-in-Chief. It was also decided how the General Staff should reorganize the process, President Volodymyr Zelensky reported. He says that every combat brigade should receive monthly reinforcement so they can understand how to organize training, conduct rotations, and plan their work. The General Staff will present the details later. The draw for the 2026 FIFA World Cup has taken place. Ukraine will be in a group with the Netherlands, Japan, and Tunisia. If they make it through the qualification playoffs, the national team will need to win 2 more matches. The first is on March 26th against Sweden. The World Cup will take place in June and July 2026 in the USA, Canada, and Mexico. For the first time, 48 teams will participate. At the time of the draw, 42 national teams had already qualified for the World Cup, and 6 more will be determined in the playoffs in March. Europe will delegate 4 representatives, and one of them could be the Ukrainian national team. Donald Trump received the first-ever FIFA Peace Prize. He was presented with the award in Washington during the official ceremony for the 2026 World Cup draw. The award was personally handed over by FIFA President Gianni Infantino. The Peace Prize was established by the organization in November and is awarded to those who have made a significant contribution to ending conflicts and uniting people. Right to St. Nicholas in Ukraine. A chatbot was launched on Telegram for children's favorite holiday. This was written on her Facebook page by child and family psychologist Svetlana Royce. She reminded that before the war there was a project called Call St. Nicholas. At that time, 100 volunteers worked answering children's calls. They even set a record of 100,000 calls in a minute. But now, she says, our St. Nicholas is in the military, and now there is a chatbot for connecting with miracles because the holiday must go on no matter what. The Kyiv exhibition Ukraine Wow has been extended until January 11, 2026. New exhibits have been added to the exposition, including Crimean gold from the treasury of the National Museum of the History of Ukraine, Elena Svitolina's cup, and a model of the Magora sea drone. In 2 months of operation, the exhibition was visited by more than 160,000 people, of whom over 25,000 attended for free. And to support Ukrainian museums, the organizers allocated 7 million hryvnias. Ruslana Sushko will share all the details.
At the Ukraine Wow exhibition, held at the capital's railway station, there are over 100 exhibits, from Hetman Ivan Mazepa's saber to the championship belt of boxer Alexander Usyk. However, for the winter season, the organizers have added new exhibits.
In particular, behind me you can see a model of the famous Magora maritime drone boat, and also in the area where we are standing now, which is the warehouse keepers zone. Olympic medals of our athletes have appeared, 28 medals in total.
And this is a separate location with the inscription Ukraine Wow, to be Cosmos. It was opened in honor of the film that caused a stir in the Ukrainian media space.
Incredible exhibits, an incredible approach to selecting them. Such a concentration of Ukrainianness. You want not just to look at them for a while, but to reflect, to compare, and, as the Hutsuls say, to truly experience this place.
One of the most valuable new acquisitions is a part of the collection of Crimean treasures and Scythian gold, for which Ukraine fought a legal battle with Russia for almost 10 years in a Dutch court. And in the music zone, visitors could find themselves on the stage of the National Philharmonic of Ukraine.
You can hear the famous world-renowned Shedrik performed by the Homen ensemble, the Homen choir. And in addition, the works of Viktor Zaretsky, the famous artist and husband of Alla Horska, have also come to life, his winter cycle, which immediately brings a wintry mood.
The snowy Tunnel of Love is also responsible for the winter mood at the exhibition. It has become a favorite among the updated locations. The organizers say the exhibition was extended due to the large number of visitors.
So there is definitely demand for the project itself. This project helps raise funds for the museums of Ukraine. Today we have transferred 7 million hryvnias to support Ukrainian museums. And in fact we realized that the project could still attract a new audience, so we extended it until January 11th so that more people would have the opportunity to see it, and so we could raise more funds to support Ukrainian culture.
The extension of the exhibition was also supported by Ukrainian businesses.
I believe that every partner is not just about sponsorship or some package or a logo or something like that. It is a great honor to be so closely involved with such a cultural heritage that we are creating today, showcasing this entire retrospective from ancient times to the present. This is very important. Supporting culture is important.
The organizers say that in 2 months, the interactive exhibition was visited by 160,000 visitors from all regions of Ukraine and more than 30 countries around the world. It will run until January 11th, so they invite everyone who is interested to come and see the exclusive exhibits. Ruslana Sushko, Maxim Kondratenko, Rada TV channel, National Marathon, United News.